Biden says hospital blast in Gaza appears as though it was done by the other team, and not Israel. Associated Press. President Joe Biden opened his visit to Israel on Wednesday, vowing to show the world that the U.S. stands in solidarity with the Jewish people and offering an assessment that the deadly explosion at a Gaza Strip hospital appeared to have been carried out by the other team, and not the Israeli military. Based on what I've seen, it appears as though it was done by the other team, not you, Biden told Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu during a meeting, referring to Hamas militants. Below are your comments. If you follow the data, not based on slogans like Deporte-in-Chief or Infrastructure-in-Chief, USB. UILT less than 100 miles of new interstate highway during that 8 years. But the amount of debt created in that 8-year, increased $9 trillion while adding $2 billion per day, is. Everyone's hero will surely bring peace to the region. He will tell a relatable story of how he once waged war on shower mold in one of his many mansions. I just watched live coverage of Biden and Netanyahu talking. It does not look like Biden is physically and mentally capable of being the POTUS. I hope he has some good advisors who are running the show. It is sad to see an old man who should be in a nursing home being shipped around the world to die. Good morning. I am a wellness consultant. I can't wait till he tells his story of how he too knows what it like to be on the wrong side of a terrorist attack. He will tell them about the time his house was invaded by ants, and how traumatic it was for him. Next news. Biden arrives in Israel on crisis diplomacy mission rattled by horrific Gaza hospital bombing. Ms. Biden will travel to the Middle East in a show of support for Israel, but concerns over a humanitarian crisis could overshadow the visit. Below are your comments. The IDF has just released their investigation and have shown that it was a Hamas rocket that misfired from a cemetery next to the hospital. Also, the number of dead is nowhere as high as reported. Also, Israel's missiles completely destroy buildings and leave a crater. The hospital was not complete. Yahoo's censorship is right up there with its sister censor, AOL. They must run things through Beijing, requesting approval of each comment. They continue to show Palestinian women crying because a family member was bleep. What about the hundreds families wiped out in Israel? No pictures of the people crying. What about Egypt unwilling to open a means so 2 million Palestinians to get humanitarian aid, water, food, medicine that is n. Weeks and months before, Netanyahu was under criminal liability and he was changing the laws in Israel to suit his needs. Many Israelis were protesting against this man and suddenly Hamas attacks? Sorry, I won't believe the propaganda lies from the news media. The same thing happened before the war. Next news. Gaza hospital blast bleep hundreds, wrecking Biden's summit with Arabs. Reuters. A huge explosion at a Gaza hospital bleep hundreds of Palestinians, wrecking a diplomatic mission by U.S. President Joe Biden, who arrived in Israel on Wednesday but was snubbed by Arab leaders who called OFF an emergency summit. Israel denied responsibility and said the blast was caused by a failed rocket launch by the Palestinian Islamic Jihad militant group, which denied blame. Biden's trip to the Middle East was supposed to calm the region, even as he demonstrated U.S. support for its all. Below are your comments. Release hostages, stop firing rockets from Gaza, prevent more accidents. If not, then the missions will continue. Does Brandon know where he's going? His handler tell him he's going for pizza? Go Brandon. I believe there is both heaven and hell on this earth. We are watching the hell right before our eyes. Iran not only struck Israel but took old Joe to the cleaners. But then slap him right in the face, and the only one who can't see that is old Joe. This is exactly what the jihadists and militant Arabs want. To turn world opinion, all Arab nations, against Israel and the US. Iran and Russia are the puppet masters here, with some Qatari thrown in. Next news. Analysis: US throws Nvidia a lifeline while choking off China's chip-making future. Reuters. While stripping China's access to key US artificial intelligence chips, the Biden administration's sweeping new rules also quietly threw Nvidia, Intel and Advanced Micro Devices, AMD, a potential lifeline to preserve lucrative business in one of the world's biggest chip markets. Buried deep in more than 400 pages of rules issued on Tuesday, officials at the U.S. Bureau of Industry and Security, BIS, said they are open to the semiconductor industry's input for finding ways to keep sending AIC. Below are your comments. China no longer needs Nvidia, etc. Already has supercomputers and advanced chips. In a few years China will own entire business. China leads in almost every area of science. Glad to see that Nvidia is getting what it deserves. It is common sense, you never give power to another country. We need to see who in the Congress and administration hold Nvidia and/or have options on the stock. The U.S. is acting more and more like a street thug. Whenever those people lost its grip on their territory, they played dirty. But, at the end, they still won't gain any advantage by such an act. Next news. Biden has tough questions for Netanyahu. Gaza strike upends Israel trip. Reuters. U.S. President Joe Biden will pose tough questions in meetings with Israeli leaders during a Middle East trip that has been upended by a strike on a Gaza hospital on Tuesday in which hundreds of Palestinians were bleep. Biden is flying to Israel to meet with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and show U.S. Support in the aftermath of an attack on Israeli villages and military bases by Gaza-based Hamas gun men that bleep hundreds of people on October. After his meetings in Israel, Biden had p. Below are your comments. Obama plus Biden gave over $200 billion, with a big B, to Iran to fund terrorism and Iran's nuke program, and Biden also handed over the entire country of Afghanistan to terrorists, and left over $80 billion of U.S. assets and equipment there for the terrorists. Then the Democrats sit around wondering how Biden looks so confused during the hug. I think he's wondering if a dry hump is in order. It's a mystery why they fight. No one knows why they're fighting a war. Biden is clueless. What is he doing going to the Middle East? They can effectively handle Hamas. 16. Next news. Trump to appeal partial gag order in special counsel's 2020 election case. CBS News. Former President Donald Trump is appealing a court order restricting him from making public statements about those involved in the federal case against him in Washington. Below are your comments. Trump is appealing? No way. If Trump was a regular criminal defendant, his trial would have started long ago. If John Q. Public would have tried Trump's bad mouth tricks, they would have been in jail awaiting trial. There is a thumbiness in our judicial system, like with everything else. Trump has no basis for appeal. All Chutkan's so-called gag order did was put in writing the rules that every criminal defendant is supposed to follow. I think any other person who spewed this vile rhetoric would be held to the same rules, laws, requirements as any other citizen. 45 is no different, aside from being a certifiable narcissist who has no clue as to the concept of reality. The judge fell into his trap. Eventually, this is going to drag on until the Supreme Court makes a decision. Next news. Biden says hospital explosion appears to be done by other team, not Israel. USA Today. Biden, arriving in Israel to meet with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, said the blast appeared to be caused by the other team, not Israel. Below are your comments. It almost seems as though there was a window open for Hamas to attack. It also seems like it's too much of a coincidence. Palestinians are being harassed and threatened away from West Bank and Gaza homes. At the same time, Netanyahu is brokering business deals with certain countries to build things. He's only in the way there right now. He should be at home fixing our country. Congress is out of control and Biden just ignores them when he should be getting his house in order before thinking he can fix other people's problems. The sock puppet doesn't know what day it is. The Arabs shut him out and there is no ice cream. What an embarrassment. Hamas could really do us a solid here. The only tough question he needs to be asking is why are we aiding Israel in their genocide? Next news. XRNC chair exposes Jim Jordan's most blatant hypocrisy yet. HuffPost. Michael Steele called out Jordan's insincere plea after the Ohio Republicans' bid for Speaker came up short. Below are your comments. His entire goal has been to be an antagonist and oppose all attempts at governing, both at the state level and in Congress. Goodbye, Jimmy. Republicans don't want to govern because their billionaire backers don't believe in government. Jordan and Trump are both traitors. They should be wearing orange jailbird suits and sitting in prison where they belong. Love it, he's a terrorist. Please subscribe to my channel. And if you like it, please thumbs up.